Hey guys, welcome to another podcast here. I'm your host, Ollie Matthews, and today we've got someone that known for a while, and to see the journey both yourself, Leanne, and your husband, James, like you're making into helping other people's health is really, really powerful. So we have Leanne Heavens here, and you are the Fem Fire Coach.
I am.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what is the Fem Fire Coach? Who is this person?
So this is a recent change that I've had. Fem Fire Coach is my name on social media, and I am Leanne Heavens-Hunt. And the reason behind that is because I absolutely I'm so passionate about all of my work, about working with women to ignite their healthiest and their highest self. So that's where that fire really comes from, and the fem for feminine. And so I'm an empowerment coach, a mindset mentor, and a personal trainer, all mixed into one. And I've developed the Fem Fire Circle, which is an online platform, yet I also do one-to-one, face-to-face coaching as well, group coaching that's online, and then have an online membership on there as well. So it's about bringing a force of women together to work towards our healthiest and highest selves.
That's powerful. And tell us where the Fem Fire Coach came from. You said it's a recent change. Like we've known each other, like going to the same gym, like working, just not quite crossing over when we were working in the gyms back in the day, but working in the same place. What has inspired this change to go from, because I don't want to say just personal training, because you're awesome at what you do with personal training, but to go from being the personal training to add a lot more of the mindset work in there?
It's something I've been doing for many years, and whether I've not squashed it down, my recent change has come from, and this will come, later as we go into things, from giving birth to my second child. That is really where Fem Fire has started. And so all the work that I do is about uncovering ourselves and our limitations, because I really do believe that our minds are limitless, and our bodies can follow that too. And so, I guess if I talk about my journey of how I got to there, that makes sense. I've been in the health industry for 16 years. When you asked me that question, I was thinking, oh God, 16 years. Now, previous to that, growing up as a young girl, I was a swimmer. So I was a competitive swimmer. So I do think a lot of my thought processes have been very embedded from that time in my life. And then I got to national level of a team level. So I wasn't quite good enough to go all out.
More than a lot of people get to.
Thank you. So I was really proud of that, but I had to bow out when I knew how to bow out. And then at the same sort of time was when I was at school and I was academically really struggling, really finding it hard to fit the mold of what's created with that. And so with my low grades, I thought, I'm going to cut my losses now and I'm going to go get a job. So I think 16, 17, there I was, leaving school, stopping swimming, lots of change, went out into the work world, earning money, being able to go out, all those things. And I naturally stacked the weight on. I exercised a lot at that time. I went to the gym lots. I never lost that kind of drive and passion to do that. But the nutrition and that would have been completely out the window at that age, drinking endlessly. And so, I found myself going from kind of job to job, but, really fun stuff. I've been worked as a jeweler. I then ended up being a PA for a financial company and getting that whole 9-to-5 thing, going to the gym lots in between, but just thinking, is this really it? Is this really it? And it was a conversation I had with a friend in the gym at the time who said, you'd be a cracking personal trainer. And I was like, really? Actually, I really like this. Maybe there's something in that. And that's where that started to ignite. And I thought, I'm going to go for it. So I worked full time and I studied to be a PT and, fresh into the industry, like very, very early 20s. I walked into my local gym at the time and just went for it and asked for a job and they gave it to me. Now, the pay was considerably different, lower, yet I knew I wanted to do it. And I was in the position, I was in my early 20s, and I thought, if not now, when, let's go for it. And that was it. I mean, I have never, ever looked back from that moment. And over the years, I've, really, really loved just bringing connections of people together. I was the person in the gym, creating boot camps and creating group things and running new ideas. It was just as if it was in my blood. And then I went to then thrive on my own. So I went self-employed, where I ran my business, where I was running classes 5 days a week, doing PT during the day, doing coaching. And very early on in my PT journey, I was realizing that there was something really missing that we didn't get taught on that course. And I was thinking, it can't be a case that people simply run out of motivation. Like, how I'm setting all these goals for people, and we're putting the plan in place, and they're not keeping to it. There's something missing here. And I've always been very keen into life coaching. I've done a life coaching course, and I thought, well, I need to go a bit deeper here. And that's when I've heard of NLP, neuro linguistics programming. So I went away and went on a course, and it was absolutely life-changing for me, for myself, to go through the course, because of the things that came out for me personally, but also for my work. And so I spent many years using my NLP skills in amongst the PT to help people change the way that their brains are wired and change the outcomes that they were getting. And that has been the heart of my work through many, many years. And when I got married with James, I expected to be pregnant straight away, as we do. And this is probably another podcast. There is.
We might have to do a series, as we said.
We might have to do a series. But we struggled. It was difficult. James had his own things happening at the time with his PTSD diagnosis. I had what I perceived as a healthy body and a healthy outlook. I was, healthy in all ways, as I thought, but my body wasn't working. And so fertility journey was something for us. And, that month to month of, failed tests and periods arriving was just such a difficult time. And running a business at the same time, there was so much that I had to learn about myself in that time. And that's when I've done a lot of hypnotherapy, a lot more of NLP, having it myself, to help peel back the layers of what was kind of happening underneath my body, this body being in such a high stress state. And then fast forward 18 months, and I know some people's journey is much, much longer. We were fortunate enough to fall with Lila, which is amazing. And I went through that pregnancy, very, very healthy, very low risk. And then things towards the end of that pregnancy cascaded towards me having many interventions, and then ended up with a C-section. And to my knowledge now, that I know that was all very unnecessary. And that came with its own experience of coming out the other side of that and being thrown into motherhood, running a business. And so, it's my coaching skills of, and that NLP has always been at the heart of everything I do, even for myself as well. When I then when I knew we wanted to have another baby, I knew I had to be ahead of my game in my mind. I had to put my mind ahead of things. And so I invested into the manifesting, you might say, of my second pregnancy, and investing into energetically putting my body into the state it needed to be in to be fertile, to fall pregnant. And I threw everything at it, as I do, therapies, making sure I ate well, moved with balance, was managing my stress levels. And we were fortunate enough, again, to fall pregnant. And then that journey was what has really fired up Fem Fire, because it was a time in my life where I had to learn to trust my body again, because I had been told that my body had failed numerous times through the previous trauma that I had. And then on top of that, the belief systems I had about, birthing, and, whether I used to think that home birth was really dangerous and scary and stuff. So I had to do a lot of my own work within my own life to propel myself towards taking my experience with my own child into my own hands and my own health, my own body, my own baby. And again, I threw everything at it, mind, body, and soul. And then to obviously have a 4-day labor at home, numerous times tested to see if I really, really wanted it. And finding that I could overcome and take my body and my mind into a completely limitless state. And I birthed her at home.
That's amazing.
Exactly what I intended.
That is powerful.
And it was from that moment that I knew that this work to me is everything.
So it was like that is the moment that said I need to be doing what I'm now doing. Because I think myself, coming from a training background, I was training for the confidence, and you've come from an athletic background with the swimming side of things. And as an athlete, was the way that you were training, this is something I've seen a lot myself, definitely. Do you think that had to change because it was causing a lot of excess stress on your body?
100%.
And how did it change?
I remember that time way back. I was an incredible control freak.
Mm-hmm.
I like to control everything that I could, and even to the exercise. So at the time, I was to run as fast as I could possibly run. I was running the classes up at the UEA at the time, and strength training. I was pole dancing. I was learning to pole dance. That was brilliant. Oh my God. I mean, James obviously agrees that was brilliant.
Strength involved in that, yeah.
I had a pole at home to practice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the strength for it, I mean, it's phenomenal. And so I was throwing myself at exercise because I could control the outcomes of that. Okay, I want to do a 5K in this time. Let's go for it. Let's run. And more so, it was the business control. I used to try to control the outcome of what my clients would give back to me. I'd master everything from setting up the classes, making sure everybody turned up, making sure that everybody was getting their goals. And so much of myself was throwing myself into things that I absolutely had no control over, but I was attempting to. And so at the time, I worked with my coach, Kerry, at the time, Kerry Dolan, who's a hypnotherapist, absolutely phenomenal. And I remember breaking down so many times with her, but breaking down with realizing that I just had to stop. I had to let go. I had to let go of it all, let go of the outcomes of other people, let go. And so how I changed physically is that I actually, started to give myself a break. Go for a walk instead of a run. Why have I got this mindset that it has to be a run, has to be that way? And I had to go.
Sounds simple though, right?
Sounds simple.
In practice, it's hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. So everything had to slow down. I had to, and I did teach body balance at the time anyway, which is yoga, Pilates and that, but it was all squeezed in with everything else. Yeah. Or missing a session, just having a day off. Right. And so that had to be learned. I had to learn how to stop that.
Is it easy to do that now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And having your girls has allowed you to do that, or was that all just part of the process along the way?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think movement provides such an identity in us, and it makes us feel hugely connected to ourselves. And of course, it's a benefit to move and exercise. And this is something me and James bounce off each other on, because we've got our busy working lives. We've got both of the girls. So sometimes it just doesn't work getting a workout in. And we both go, it's all right.
One of the things is managing it, right? Because I know I've had conversations with him about the trauma, and I need to get him on the podcast as well to talk about his journey. But I've been through trauma, he's been through trauma, you've been through trauma. And I think the thing all three of us and many, many people have in common is exercise was the release from that trauma, right?
Yeah.
So getting that process to the next level?
I think understanding that you're okay to dial it up, dial it down. And I think we get set in our mind of how things should be to be worthy enough. I've got to make sure I burn that amount of calories. I've got to make sure that I'm sweating. I've got to make sure that I'm literally can't walk the next day, because then it's all worthy. And that was the letting go. And the, learning to dial down and dial back up again, and use, be able to use the tuning in to your energy of where your body's at, where your mind's at, where your goals are at. Okay, if we've got a certain goal in place, like, okay, I want to run a marathon and do it in X time, then of course you've got to be disciplined. Of course you've got to show up. Of course you've got to push through the most uncomfortable. Yeah, most of us are not doing that. Most of us are just trying to establish living well, living confidently and freely. And so we have to notice when we're our own shackles. And that, so now it sits very comfortably with me. If I can't get my own workout in the way that I want to, I mean, I've literally had to learn how to do that, because the only way that I can work out consistently is to have the girls around me at the time doing it, and that's what I do online with the Fem Fire Circle, and show that some days it's great, some days it's absolutely terrible, but it's consistent.
I suppose it's also knowing yourself that you are doing everything you can do. And 100% today is different to tomorrow, it's different to yesterday. And I think I know myself, like, oh, I can push today. Or if I go there and I feel tired, go to the gym, for example, that we're doing a workout and we're not going to push as hard today. But as you say, being okay with that. But then it's on the other hand of, how do we know when our body isn't really, like, we can use technology and all this sort of stuff, but how do we know when our body isn't ready to push hard, when our schedule isn't, and we're using it at the risk of frustrating people, using it as an excuse to say, I'm not going to really try as hard? Is there some technique you've got for that, for people to know?
To actually know.
Yeah. Am I just using an excuse, or can I push harder?
We sit with our truth all of the time. We know.
Yeah.
We know when we're letting ourselves completely off the hook. And that's what I say to my girls, is that you will become your best coach and your best friend. You've got to be both. You've got to be that person who goes, no, come on, get yourself up, get your trainers on, and give it what you've got.
Mm-hmm. Do you find people stop apologizing for things then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I noticed a lot, where people say, oh, sorry, I missed this. Like, it's not sorry to me. Like, do you know your body wasn't ready for it? Yeah, it wasn't ready. Well, that's a positive that you missed it, because the younger you, not the older you, the younger you would have just gone through it anyway, because it was scheduled.
Yeah.
Definitely something I've had to come through. And I suppose, as you said, like parenthood, being a mum has helped you force that through.
These kids, they are here to show you what you've got to learn.
Yeah. I think even you sent me a voice note, and your daughter was like chatting back to you, and you're like, hang on, maybe I shouldn't be on my phone like that. And showing like to spend that time with presence with them, that's powerful. So
yeah,
you've got different steps. You sent me, I think there was like 6 or 7 or 8 steps. First one being heal first. I feel we've spoken about that a little bit, but do you want to go through the steps that you work through with people? Because when people look to improve their health, something that I've seen, first off, it's the fitness first. And we're going to go and smash a workout or go on a diet, or this journey where we're taking from the body because we're smashing, because maybe it's so they want to lose weight or train for a marathon, these sorts of things. But I know that we resonate with each other because we work on this process of building yourself up so you can be healthier as a result. So let's go through some of the steps. As you said, heal first was the first one. Do you want to just unpack that a little bit?
Absolutely. When I speak to people on the phone, when they potentially might want to come and work with me, they're really taken back because they think they're ringing a personal trainer and they're not. And I explained to them that very much so that they'll come to me with where they're at the moment, and I'll ask them, what is it you want? And it will be very common. I want to be happy. I want to be confident. I want to get into a space in myself where I'm so content with what I've got. I want to be calmer. That's one of the biggest hits, by the way, that I get people coming through. And I'm like, okay, well, they're states, right? So we can learn how to be them right now. But we know that it's working on just a specific outcome is not going to get them what they want. You know, I can say to people, I could give you the best workout program in the world. I could give you the best nutritional plan in the world. Yet if you don't work with these steps first, which I'm not going to take you through, then those things are just surface level things that are just going to provide you with something for a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about going deep and innately so that you are working from the inside out, because what happens to the mind happens to the body, and what happens to the body happens to the mind. I know that we live in a world where we have two separate hospitals for these things. We have a hospital for the physical body, and we have a hospital for the mental side. And hopefully in my lifetime, we will see a combination of the two come together, because we are a combination of the two. And so everything that everybody has been through up until the age that they're at, they carry their past with them. And this past will be full of traumatic events, whether people like to think it or not, because everybody has been through things that they have misunderstood, misconceptualized, made into some idea, or have been presented with a very traumatic event and then not been able to deal with it at the time. And so things get locked into wounds, and those wounds are carried. And so what we do in the first part of the coaching, so this is one-to-one coaching, but as well on my group program, we look at healing those wounds, because when we heal them, we can then gain the wisdom through them. So we actually time travel back, which people go, how do you do that? And people call me voodoo, they call me a witch, they call me all sorts. We use a technique called time-based techniques, which is an NLP technique, and we take you back to your inner child, and we understand the emotions that are sitting there. They're locked in the unconscious mind.
Yeah.
And at the time, they're incredibly upsetting. So yeah, of course, it's an upsetting process, and we have to have that emotional release that comes out. But now, as we sit in our adulthood, we know so much more. The learnings and experiences we hold now are huge. And that simple message of going back and going, it's all right. It works out. Don't worry, brush yourself up, pick yourself back up, because I can tell you that it all works out. And here's a massive hug, and here's all the love you need, and here's all the courage you need. That then goes in. And so when we then come out of those techniques, the emotion and the emotion has gone. The memory's still there, because it will be. It's a memory and it's always yours. But the gravity that sits behind it is gone. And just recently, I've had a client who's been through her 3-month coaching program. And we've been in the studio, my actual physical PT studio, twice in a 3 months. Because a lot of our coaching has been on this. And that person's lost 22 inches.
That's powerful. I think so many times we go for the physical, and it's one thing where I've come away from pushing personal training as, like, some people have their exercise, but if the mind and body aren't working right, we're just going to add more stress to it, right? And you've just shown right there.
Yeah. And it goes across to all those kind of phases of my life and why I'm where I am today, fertility. There's a lot of trauma locked into the body, and belief systems as well, which we'll go on to next. Things need healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in pregnancy, preparation and birth and postnatally, you know, and then all the way to perimenopause. You know, I've worked with clients in this chair that are in their 60s, 70s, healing their entire lives.
It's amazing, like when you have that feeling, someone that's tried everything, but it makes you feel good when like, yes, there's a bit of ego in there as well, but just not for the ego side, for the egotistical side, for their release. Like they can finally take a breath.
I cry with my clients. We energetically feel it in the room. It's, or even online. I've had some coaching clients in London online, and you feel it across because energy is boundless. And the shift is huge.
That's powerful. So that's where we go into number 2, the identity shift.
Because as we know, we are making our ideas about the world right from the time we're here. I mean, our emotional brain development actually starts around week 16 in the womb. So really early on. And depending on somebody's spiritual self as well, some people are able to go past self into previous lives, and some other people are like, no way. I'm born when I'm born. And so from the moment we open our eyes, we open our ears, what we can see, smell, taste, touch, everything is coming in. I use that wonderful example of the film Inside Out. It's a Disney film.
Love their messages.
Oh, God.
Some of the Disney messages, they're not just for kids.
They're not. They really are not. And, you know, that film is absolutely beautiful. I've got my girls watching it like most days inappropriately. But it's teaching them something, you know.
At least it stops them from singing Let It Go.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Blimey.
It's a powerful film.
It is. And so, yeah, as we are young, particularly between the ages of 0 to 7, that's our imprint years. Everything is fact. We are a sponge of life, and everything is truth. Everything's truth. So no matter what you're exposed to, you're going to believe it.
Yeah.
And you're learning from your parents, your teachers, your siblings, whoever it is that's surrounding you and surrounding you, that is going in. And then in our next 7-year cycle of our life, we're reconfirming all of those beliefs that is truth. Oh, that's right. That's wrong. This is what I think about that. That's, you know, we're kind of really surging forward in sort of school years, aren't we? And then it's the socialization shift 7-year cycle, whereby we take all of those imprints. Now, if we've never questioned what we think and feel about ourselves or who we are in the world, then you are living off other people's imprints. Yeah. So we do have to question. And the most common ones that I will see is I'm not good enough. We know that is actually a very big response of when you are younger and you're exposed to traumatic events, we go into shutdown mode. We start to emotionally suppress for protection. And when we are exposed, we're looking outwardly at what's happening, and we're making, even if it's nothing to do with you, you will decide that it is about you. And that decision is, I'm not good enough. So that stems from there. And then there'll be various things that happen along your life, like you might be at school and you get a really crap grade or something, or pass test, whatever. And you decide, oh, I'm not good enough compared to that person as well. And then you don't get accepted for a job. Oh, I'm not good enough to do that job. And it just then carries on and carries on. So the evidence builds, and our brain loves evidence. So anything that can confirm it, it's in there. So very common ones that I will see in the coaching room are, you know, I'm not confident enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough. And that's a big one when it comes to being able to step forward and making time for yourself in this stage of life, because you've got to feel worthy of the time.
To put yourself first, right?
Yeah.
To switch off.
Switch something.
Yeah.
And I always say, because a lot of people think, oh, I can't put myself in front of my kids. I can't put myself more important than X, Y, Z. And I say, I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to stop putting yourself down here and make yourself just equally important.
Mm.
Not everything's important. We feel like everything's important. And this is, I think Mel Robbins says this, famous Mel Robbins, that if we think that everything is important, nothing's important.
Yeah, just gets filtered out.
Yeah.
And you've got your third one being regulating the central nervous system. I suppose that if we're fully stressed, our identity isn't there. The central nervous system is just going to be on red alert all the time. How do you regulate it?
Oh, here we go. Someone said to me the other day, they went, and I'm not brushing my ego here or like blowing my own trumpet.
No, go for it.
Somebody said to me, they were like, Leanne, you look the best you've ever looked. Like, what have you been doing? Like, I've known you in the health industry for a long time. I said, do you know what? It has been since launching Nurturehood, which is my group program, and we put at the forefront and focus regulating the nervous system frequently through the day. Frequently. And it's the first time, I've run lots of programs in the past, and we've focused on lots of things that can relax you and balance you and move like this and eat like this. But this has been a whole new level. So the things that we work on, and very much thanks to my wonderful husband, breath work, every single day, even when I am losing my shit in the middle of the demands, the girls, something might be happening and my rage is like this through the top of my head. That is the time in which breath work really comes in, and no one can stop you from doing breath work.
You've got to breathe.
You've got to breathe. So you might as well breathe effectively and well. So teaching my girls to have great breathing mechanics, thanks to James. So as a foundation, we teach those breathing mechanics because most people have got terrible breath mechanics. And so installing that as a confidence. And so when they're in those moments of rage, when I'm in that rage or in any emotion, or, just trying to find that space within ourselves, then it's, regulating the body with breath work, which can be done at any point, because I've done it in numerous times where it's really stressful. Active meditation, I think that's a really big one, because we feel like this comes into the exercise thing of, oh God, I need to go and do this, and I need to go and smash this. And I need to... Actually, what about if we just slowed it right down and, put ourselves into a meditative state whilst moving our body? And that might be cleaning. Getting stuff done that needs to be done, but actively working through that, going out for a walk, letting the chores drop for a second. That's a big one. That's hard.
It's definitely something I've seen with my wife. She's been sick, and I'm just saying, just sit down. The chores have to be done. It's like, well, I can step up a little bit, definitely a lot, not a little bit, a lot, but she just wants to do them. And it's I've seen it's very hard for people to even do that relaxation.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, put on some music and dance to it. Let yourself go, right?
Music is everything. And this is
Sing, dance.
It's all around music.
Get your inner child out.
Massive. Oh, massive. Yeah. So part of the process in Nurturehood that we do is really asking them what songs are anchors for them in their life, and what we call power music. And I get them to make a playlist through their journey in Nurturehood. So each week when they have these songs coming in that help lift them or push them or motivate them or just make them cry, make them scream, we practice something called rage journaling, where we put some really hardcore music on.
What's your rage track?
Chop Suey. Yeah. Oh, System of the Down. Chop Suey. Yeah, that's a good one. Tears for Fears, is it? Shout. I've been given that one in the past. Shout, let it all out. And yeah, literally getting the frustrations and the feelings out, because your body is energy. Every single cell in your body is energy and it's vibration. And I can tell you that if you are sitting in frustration and rage and disappointment and guilt and shame, these emotions are debilitating. They're debilitating on your body, they're debilitating on your mind. Yes, you're going to feel them, yet we don't want to sit with them. We don't want to sit in them for any longer than we need to. Yes, the lessons have to be learned. Yet we've got to move through that. So, and going back to the chore thing, I'm someone who really likes my home to be tidy and clean and spotless, really. But you've got to let it go. You have got to let it go, because if we are finding that we are, it's a procrastination technique. It's distraction. Being so perfectionism on our homes and making sure this pillow is perfectly plumbed and there's lines in the carpet and all of that, whether that is the sort of person that I might be working with. For who?
But does that not come from childhood as well?
Absolutely.
That's a big thing I've seen. The self-love side of always having to live up to someone as a child, always having this perfectionism, which has been thrown down on us.
Yeah.
And where does that start as well? Is that our parents or is it their parents? And where's the chain and where did we break it?
Well, we're talking about generational patterns here, aren't
Yeah.
we? Because like our parents they would have learnt off their parents, and if they'd never done any work to change any of it, then that would have come from them, and some things can like be so far down.
Yeah.
And there are some wonderful generational patterns. It might be that you're the type of family that always sits down and has a Sunday lunch, and fights cats and dogs, but has pure love in the room and energy in the room. Wonderful.
There's some destructive ones as well, though, right?
Heck yeah. Yeah. And they're the ones that are stopping people from stepping into that higher self. That's, the belief systems that we're holding and that we feel is truth. And that's where accountability comes in with a coach, because I'll say, is that truth?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay. Does that limit you? Yeah. Do you want to change it? Yeah. Well, we can.
Yeah, it's big. Let's go back into this. Number 4, building the strength, right?
Yeah.
So is that going in, doing the strength work?
Yes. So in terms of strength work, I do 3 classes a week online. And with this, the pandemic was the reason that I set them up. Before that, I was, working in gyms and delivering strength classes or strength sessions in a group setting, and then one-to-one coaching. Then when the pandemic came, we all had to find a way, didn't we? And I set up the classes because that seemed the most logical thing to do, keep everybody motivated and moving, and continuing some strength training. And here they are. They've stayed. I think because there is a certain type of people that I appeal to that maybe can't get to the gym really early doors and they'd like to, or they actually lack that motivation of like, what do I do when I get in the gym? How do I actually move? And the consistency, I think that's one of the biggest things about strength training. And there is a more important word before that, and that's confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I think having the confidence to know what you're doing, how you're moving your body, how it feels when you're moving it, and then having consistency to do that. They're actually really tricky things. And I say to a lot of people, there's not many people that can take themselves into the gym off their own back, go and kick out an awesome weight session, and then walk out and then do the same again tomorrow or the next day. And yes, as a coach, I want to install that confidence into people and that ability for them to do that if they wish to. Yeah, I'm very honest. And I've literally just put a video up this morning myself to say that I literally can't think of anything that is lower on my priority list above like all the housework, the girls, all the things I need to do, than go and take myself into the gym, do a workout off my own back. And that's coming from me. I'm a coach, but it's tricky. I find the motivation tricky to go and get under the barbell and make that happen. And so I wanted to create something where people could show up. So they're power half hours, 30 minutes. I believe anyone can change their state and work on their strength in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that is, so I structure it with Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6:30 in the morning. I might move it to 6 in the spring because of the light change and everything. It's always nice to get going. And there we are. I'm in my kitchen. I've got my power bands. I've got any kit that I've got, and I'm moving my body. The clients are loving it because they're getting the results. They're feeling stronger. And what I say to them is, when you then go into the gym, you realize that because you've done all this fundamental like foundation work where you're working with, the power bands really make you tune in to your body from the inside out. You go to lift a barbell or a dumbbell and you realize that you've got the strength for it because all this fundamental foundational work's been done consistently.
Maybe I can ask for advice on how I can support this as well, because I get frustrated if I've had a woman come up to me and say, oh, I can't go into the gym. There's too many guys there in the gym. And I see more women in the gym now, but how do people make more people feel welcome in the gym? So you've no doubt had it where people have said similar things like, everyone has as much right. If people are paying their membership, they have as much right to be in that gym and lifting the weights as anyone, right? It doesn't matter if it's your first session, if it's your 31st session, like however long. Like, how do we, as people that are going to the gym, how do we make people more welcome in the gym?
Wow. Because I'd very much say it is an inside out job, in that for that person to feel like they can walk into the gym and kick out that workout, they've got to have the confidence to know they can go and do that. So therefore that comes back to the few other points of releasing the limiting beliefs you have about yourself.
Yeah, going through 1, 2, and 3 first, right?
Yeah. Yet nothing's going to beat somebody greeting you with a smile and saying, how can I help you? Can I help you? And gyms seem to be nowadays getting rid of these people on the gym floor just there to do that.
It's more about budget gyms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because my job as an instructor used to be to greet everyone that walked through the door, not the smile on my face that I have now. It's never changed in the last 16 years. And go, I'm here to help you. What do you want? What do you need? Let's do it. Come on, woo, let's go.
Yeah. I think we both had that.
Yeah.
And I used to challenge myself, because working in the same gym, I think at the time when it was a sporter beforehand, before it changed however many times then, we weren't really, as trainers, we weren't supposed to be on reception. So we didn't know people's names. No. I remember like we had to call people that hadn't been for like 3 months. One of them, once Darren Huckabee was there and they were like, oh, he hasn't been, you need to call him. He's just been training in Major League Soccer for the last 3 months. That's why he hasn't been in. I'm not going to call him. But the manager didn't really accept that. But it would be a challenge to try and find people's names rather than just being mate, like they're on the cross trainer or something. That's like, go there. They've not got any headphones. They look really bored. Yeah. Try and make their cardio a bit better and have a conversation with them. But I don't really see people doing that. And you're not taught it either on your, I don't know if it's changed now. It's been a while since we qualified, right? As you said, 16 years. Mine was probably around like 2006, I think I qualified. So it's been a while. So around the same time, I don't think I'm pretty certain they don't teach that sort of thing now, like sales and chatting to people.
No, how to chat.
Yeah.
And you do
just film a reel instead.
I mean, you've got to be a people person, right? You've got to be someone who wants to talk to people. And yeah, I do. I think that's where some gyms are really, falling down, in the sense of how do we provide that, And so, yeah, I guess where I'm coming from is I'm reaching people through social media to reach them in their homes.
I want people to see social media and see my social media, see your social media, and see we are approachable.
Yeah.
That's what I get. That's why we connected, I think, as well. Like, because if we weren't approachable, we're not human beings. We admit when we've got things that like we need to work on, and like we're not this perfect finished product. We're working on this and we're still learning.
Absolutely.
And that's why people are connecting with us. So
yeah,
that's a big one. I feel strength training is one of the biggest things, which if I was to push someone into their training side to show the value of strength training, not as just, you're not going to get big and bulky. You're going to really improve your hormones. You're going to improve your digestion. You're going to improve your brain health, your sleep, all these things. And also you've got the next one being balancing your blood sugars. Strength training works into that as well, right?
Yeah. And this, when I do nurturehood and coaching, I say, please, at the forefront and focus, put your strength training. If you're saying that you're limited on time with the pressures of life, put strength training first. Let everything else go around it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're talking longevity here, and in a podcast I listened to, I can't say her name, Dr. Oh gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue, but she talks about it being survivability.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Why do people die when they lose mobility?
Yeah.
And then they go into a wheelchair and they can't get out of a chair? Yeah. What is getting up out of a chair is it's the top part of a squat, right? So if we can get out from in that hole and push out and get up off the sofa, go up and down stairs, thinking of it as not as building muscle for vanity reasons, for function, for living.
If I'm getting them to do a dip, I'm literally saying, this is the getting out of the bath when you're 80 move.
Yeah, when you've got those like things on the side, you're pushing out, just getting off the toilet.
Yeah. So it is. It's so important. But I think from, if people are listening to me out there and they've got kids running around them and they just feel completely like this is not even possible, it is possible. And most importantly, you're showing them what you're doing. And that's what I don't like so much about going into a gym and putting them in creche, putting them in childcare. Like, let's have them dancing around us, seeing you do a squat, seeing you do a lunge, seeing you do press-ups with them on your back. Because then they grow up. I didn't grow up seeing my mum, like climbing on my mum while she was trying to exercise.
I saw my mum doing aerobics at the sports village.
That's cool.
But then I had crisps afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, at 6 a.m, I've been known to give my kid quavers. Just to I'm like, this is a terrible choice, Leanne. And
so what were we saying about number 5?
Yeah.
Blood sugar.
Blood sugars, that's the one. I mean, I'll chuck her some chicken.
So a little bit of protein in there. So, and on that, so 5 being balanced in blood sugars. Number 6, though, interesting when we say about giving the quavers in the morning, mastering mornings. So we kind of skipped over 5, but that seems relevant to go into 6 like right now. So
definitely.
How do you still master your mornings when you've got your girls running around? You're looking after James as well.
Yeah. 3 children. It is intense. And I think coming to the realization that the windows are small. The windows do get small. And that I very much know, I've tried and tested it. I've tried and tested it with many clients as well. And I am a firm believer that the mornings are your best shot. And sometimes they're your only shot, particularly if you work.
Mm-hmm.
Because the minute that you open your eyes and you start to give to the rest of the day, the variables go up as to why you shouldn't make time for yourself and do things. All right. And to create solid routine, we know that you're not going to be required to be out of your house at 6 a.m. All right. Yes, the kids might be up. Yes, they might not be up, but you're not going to be required to be out. Yet, if you try and set a workout time or whatever you're going to do for yourself at like lunchtime, well, God, how many things are going to bulldoze
Too many variables, yeah.
And let's not even talk about the evening. I mean...
bad enough before kids. Bad
enough before kids.
After a corporate job, that sort of thing.
Yeah, totally. So we all know what our energy levels feel like at the end of the day, but my God, getting through the absolute carnage of like getting kids to bed and that, getting the other side of that, no way are you going to be putting your body into a state of exercise. And if you
should you even as well, if you've got all that going on?
No.
When we look at actual circadian rhythm and cortisol rhythm as well.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So it's your best shot. And it isn't going to be perfect. It's not supposed to be.
So it's doing your best.
Yeah.
And that's down to perspective as well. And as you say, you've got 7 and 8. We've got a few more minutes on here to go through these, but 7 being increasing your stress capabilities. I suppose as we go further through these, the foundations you've built in the first 6 allows you to increase your stress capabilities. But this is now like the cherry on top, shall we say, the sugar-free cherry on top, that is increasing your stress capabilities even more. So how do people, tell us a little bit about that?
So this is more where James comes in.
Yeah.
Because his education and learning of the breath work and cold immersion or cold dipping, whatever we want to call it, that more and more now has shown that we've got to learn our body's physiology. We've got to come into that knowledge that we can enforce stress upon our bodies in a controlled environment to help increase our abilities to work through stress, because our bodies respond off what's happening around us. And so if we can train it to respond better, then you're going to notice your day-to-day stress management is going to be absolutely tip-top. So this is an area probably more for him to speak about.
We'll get him on here.
Yeah, and we're both learning continuously, and so we're not experts, but nobody's an expert, are they really?
I think that there was a conversation. Somebody put up, and I messaged him about it. Was that we shouldn't always just be doing cold dips. It's that awareness of where our body is at. We can be too stressed to then add it, because it's stress, right? We're forcing this extreme stress onto our bodies. And so just be following that trend, which is why having an expert there that has the knowledge, he's doing some workshops as well, isn't he? So, and I'll share posts on social media, so people check your social media, his social media, like with this, because I think it's good to know that just because everyone is doing it, I say everyone, algorithms are great. As soon as we start looking at one, we'll get 50 of them. But just because everyone's doing cold water immersion, cold dips, whatever we want to call it, doesn't mean it's the right thing for you every single day. Just like hard strength training, all that sort of thing, it's knowing you as an individual, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the title of your number 8, Powerful Energy Through the Years. Tell us that, because you've said about the 5 different stages here.
Yeah, I just absolutely believe that when we can really just embrace where we are to be our strongest, our truest, our healthiest and highest self at whatever age you are, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, however long we intend to go for. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 seconds, let alone the next however many years. So we don't know. So yes, we do have to approach life completely in front of us. And one of my biggest bugbears is when I hear, oh, I'm too old for that. Okay. Or that's not for me at my age. And I really do think that we have to take the stage that we are at in our lives and think, do you know what? Right now, how can I be in my greatest? Can be in my healthiest for this stage of my life?
I think if we looked at a book and you have all different chapters in the book, you have the different stages and different chapters in your life. And if we just went in at 40 years old, it wouldn't make sense. If we went just in at chapter 12, we need that introduction. We need that build up to the story. We need the bulk of the middle bit, and then the outro and everything else to like get in different phases. And we have to treat our body like that as well. Not just our body, our health, right? If you were training like you did in your teens when you were swimming right now, without kids, like that still wouldn't work hormonally where your body like, let alone chucking kids into the mix and relationship, all this stuff, running businesses. And I think we have to, like me, if I trained like I did when I was competing in bodybuilding, just would not work now. And we have to, sometimes we can compare ourselves so much to how we used to be. I've been guilty of that. I was talking to someone about it today, just about a couple of years ago, and Facebook memories, like it's a blessing and it's a curse at the same time when they chuck things at you and you're like, oh, I looked a bit different then. But if there was to be 3 tips, getting it down to 3 tips to help people really step into their own and improve their health, what would those 3 things be?
Number 1, realize that your mind is tangible. It's not fixed. So you can question everything. And so having the courage to face that and to understand that you're not going to rewrite the past, but what you are going to do is heal what has happened to you and then decide what you're taking with you.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, connection is everything. And no one does any of it alone. Nobody who you perceive in their truest and greatest has done any of that on their own. So we've got to know when to press that button.
Yeah.
And number 3, you've got me thinking here now. You are always going to be learning. And you are always going to be sent messages, tests from the universe to know exactly how much you want something. And it is a continual journey. You are always going to be healing. You're always going to be working through the uncomfortable. Because if we want true change, we have got to do differently. So we've got to come away from comfort and we have to go into discomfort, trusting and knowing that the other side of that is your higher self.
That's powerful. I appreciate that. How can people get in touch with you?
So you can get in touch with me on Instagram, Fem Fire Coach.
Yeah.
Facebook, I'm under Leanne Heavens-Hunt. And I'm on TikTok as well. It's new.
We're down with the kids.
Coach. Oh my God. I mean, I have to say, I know you've got to go. So
Good.
That has been a journey in itself, the social media world. And I was frightened of the sheer amount of stuff that you can change on a post and a reel and copy from other people. And I have to say, I'm authenticity all the way. What you see is what you get with me.
Yep. That's why you're moving forward and people resonate with you.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool. Well, I really, really appreciate your time and the insights you've given here. Hopefully the listeners have got something and they drop you a message and if they've got any questions or anything like that and check out your content. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Thank you.